Alright, good morning guys. Quick sound check. Actually, I gotta get used to that part. How about now? Quick sound check. Can everybody hear me? Awesome. Yeah, I keep putting this mic behind, like when I'm done for the day, I put the mic behind the computer. So apparently it's a little bit better if you have it in front of you. Who would have guessed? Alright. How's everybody doing this morning? We got a nice move so far in the overnight session in the markets. There's really nothing kind of standing out between the four indices. They're all moving really, really nicely. Nasdaq got really close to the levels we got above. The S&Ps actually traded the levels that we had, and so did the Dow. The Dow actually pushed through the levels we were watching for from yesterday. So we got some really interesting price action going so far today. First things first, I want to take a look at here. And we've got crude oil coming off nicely, or rallying nicely off the level we had yesterday, down in the 58.30 handles. And then we've got gold here, gold reversed in the overnight session as well, and currently sitting down about 7 points here in gold, but about 10 points off its highs. So really, really nice move there. And the first thing I want to look at here is just going to be the Russell. Show you guys what positions I have on. So I do still currently have on the 1,500 puts that I sold yesterday, so you guys can see that here. So that position currently today is up $120 so far from yesterday's close, and P&L open on that trade is about 540 bucks there. So I'm going to see, so far this trade is up about 11 points there. We'll see if this can come in a little bit more today and probably manage out of that position, just because of the fact that, you know, right here, I've got about $5.70 more left to make, but I'm risking all of this money that I've already made here, of $540, to go ahead and try and make another 250 bucks. So I'll likely buy this back in today for right around $5 there. Basically, you know, risking 2 to make 1 here, looking at these numbers, and it just more than likely isn't going to be, you know, the best use of capital. And the risk that I have on there. So most likely going to be closing that trade out, but we'll talk through that in the morning power hour with all of you guys. So go ahead and jump in here, and we'll start off taking a look at the S&Ps. So let me go ahead and switch this over to an hourly chart, and we'll maximize sell. We've got the levels in place here still from yesterday that we were watching. And we'll have some new levels we can add in today, but the main one is going to be coming in here at 28, 21, 75. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these lower levels that we had from yesterday that I've already traded and participated off of nicely. And then again, we had that end of day kind of divergence right here, about 140, I think it was, somewhere in there. Let me see. 120, oh, sorry, 225, 1425. In the S&Ps there. So far, really nice move. We're up 13 3/4 of a point here coming into the day. And the main thing I want to watch is going to be 28, 21, 75s. Now, that's going to be the bullish above, bearish below kind of line in the sand for me. So if we kind of gap up right at that level or gap a little bit over it, and you know, start to kind of hang out there, then I'll be looking for upside prices from that point. If we trade back down through that level and then start to show a little signs of weakness, then I will be off of the long camp and just looking for a pullback here coming into 28, 14, 50s. Now, if we take a look at the extended session here in the overnight, you can see this 1450 level came into play a lot of times. We kind of based out here for quite a while. Finally pushed back beneath it, tried to get back above it once, tried to get back above it twice, and then finally, once we did break out, pushed our way up into 28, 21, 75s. So if we crack 28, 21, 75s here off of the open, then I'll be looking for a pullback back down into 1450s. If not, I'm going to be looking for continued higher prices here over 28, 21, 75s there in the S&P futures. So going to be a really, really simple day, I think. And most likely 1 or 2 trades potential on the day for me. And then otherwise, most likely going to be kind of a wait and see game as to how this kind of shakes out, because this move today, this gap up, is essentially going to end the kind of hourly downtrend that we've put in place here over the past few days. We took out the hourly uptrend essentially last Friday here when we sold off hard, broke through all of these prior support levels from back in here, and set up this 28, 21, 75 level, and now just continuing to push down, except for this gap up situation we got going on today. So if we're going to end the downtrend here, then this could get a little bit kind of sloppy, choppy consolidation. You're going to see some people battling back and forth. The bears are obviously going to want to hold this down. Bulls want to keep it going higher. And this does happen kind of at major trend changes. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now. We've got a nice pullback on the daily chart to a buy setup that is going to trigger here at the open, barring that we don't, sell off 20 points here in the next 20 minutes. And then that's going to, trigger the change of trend here on the hourly chart, and could, in fact, give us a little bit of sloppy, choppy action in there. So I'm going to be patient first thing. We do have consumer confidence numbers coming out at 10 o'clock there. So keep that in mind. If I don't have a position on by 10 o'clock, if I don't see anything that sets up, just perfectly by 10 o'clock there, 30 minutes into the trading day, then I'm going to be like super patient and wait for that news to kind of come out and see if that'll give us a reaction of some sort that we can then take a position from. So that is actually the only news announcement for today that is in red, but just keeping an eye on that. All right, moving over into the Nasdaq here. I'm going to go ahead and delete some of these levels from yesterday that we had, and that one as well, and outline some new levels we got in place. So what I'm going to be watching for here when it comes to the Nasdaq is going to be a similar story, right? We've got the 74.04 quarters up above that we need to get through. That's the same level as the S&Ps at 21.75s. Now, the S&Ps have traded a high of 23.75 so far today, or in the overnight session, and the Nasdaq has not traded quite up into that level of 74.04 quarters. We've traded a high of 74.03 today in the Nasdaq, and I'm going to be looking for us to kind of continue and push through those 74.04 quarters to establish long positions. Now, I'd really prefer to have both markets above that level at the same time in order to establish long positions. And what that means is I would prefer to see S&Ps over 21.75s and NASDAQ over those 04 quarter levels that you guys can see right here. So if we can get that and kind of get the S&P and the NASDAQ in congruence with each other, then I much prefer that trade to the long side. And again, this from a swing basis standpoint, I'm looking at 75.43 quarters in the NASDAQ, and that's in fact the level that we sold it off from way back in here between Thursday and Friday night, or Thursday night, Friday morning there. So we came up and we tagged a very important resistance level that was in place prior to any of this move right here. We pushed through that level by about 1.5 points there, so 6 ticks in the NASDAQ futures there, and then that led to this entire sell-off. Now, I do think that level is going to trade back up through, get tested. This will be the second test of that level. I think any reactions from that will be a little bit smaller, and then I think once we break through that level, we're kind of off to the races for some new highs there in the NASDAQ future. So this is and why I was so aggressive, if you will, on trying to find an entry yesterday into a swing trade in the NASDAQ that I didn't end up holding because we didn't do exactly what I wanted to do when it came to this divergence here at the highs later on into the day. But that's why I'm aggressive with swings here. But I also know that we are at the point where the hourly is trying to change trend from this downtrend we're currently in to a new uptrend. So anyways, I do think this level is going to get hit. It's about 100 and call it 50 points away currently from where we're at right now. But I do think that trades most likely this week, if not early into next week in the NASDAQ there. So that's what I got for the NASDAQ there. Now the Russell, the one position that I do have on, I carried over from yesterday here. We got a couple levels in place. We'll delete from yesterday that did not trade. And again, the Russell didn't quite have the same type of stance here as the other markets, because we broke through what was that resistance level yesterday. I mean, the Russell had this range is 24.5 points on this hourly bar. That's a big move for the Russell, and you know, had a better day than any of the other markets when it came to, you know, that kind of early morning rally there. You can see this was just kind of straight up here off of those lows, and really rather aggressively. So with that, we now have to look at the Russell with a little bit of a different light here, and I think this moves kind of up towards 1600s over the next few days to a few weeks here. And what I'm going to be paying attention to for the Russell today is going to come in at 1526.70. Now, again, picture perfect scenario, if we can get everything in alignment, if we can get the S&Ps over 2175s, if we can get the NASDAQ over 04s, and we can get the Russell over 2670s, that is picture perfect scenario for all of these markets to continue to rally to the upside. So going to be paying attention to the Russell there, and again, I've got that position on, so going to give it a little bit of room here, but most likely going to go ahead and place some working orders to take that trade out. If the Russell, for whatever reason, does crack under 1510.30, then I'm going to say, okay, Russell's done going higher. Now we can flip the script and start looking to short side trades there. And that'll most likely lead us kind of back down into those 1494s that we were looking to trade, or we're looking or thinking they were going to trade yesterday, and they didn't quite get there. So long bias here with the Russell over 2670s. If we crack under 1030s, then you know, gonna let that one be. So anything in between that, kind of gonna be a do not trade zone, I think, for me. But otherwise, going to be paying attention to that. One second. All right, cool. Interesting. All right. And taking a look at the Dow here now. Sorry guys, just got a important message. I apologize. One thing you guys want to do is, it's a little bit different at the moment because we got 6-month-old at home, but if you're trading and you're running through your analysis and doing everything, either turn your phone on silent or turn it over so you can't see it light up. It's a very distracting device if you're trying to trade. But unfortunately, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But try not to make it a habit of it. Anyways, interesting question, Lou. So for Nadex trades, would I wait for the confirmation before putting on any long bias trades for the weekly, perhaps? Yeah, I mean that's gonna be your best bet if you want the safest, most conservative entries. Then yeah, you're always gonna want to wait for the confirmations. Again, if you waited for confirmations yesterday, it was a little bit more difficult, right? And we talked about that with the trade that I took yesterday, you know, with the break of the trend, identifying that, and then trying to find a new entry into that. So my personal favorite when it comes to trading Nadex for any type of trade is just going to be the divergences. You know, for example, like the divergence yesterday in the S&Ps. Let's see here. I'll go back to the Dow in a second. We got a couple extra minutes this morning, so if you look here, I mean, we've got the signal. I'm in the top. Oh, you guys can't see that. Maximize. So this is a blown out version, 5-minute chart of the S&Ps here. These are my favorite trades. These divergence trades right here, right? We've got a divergence at highs, right? That ends up just kind of peeking through highs there. This is where I was talking about yesterday, where NASDAQ was coming into the level, didn't get new highs in the NASDAQ there, to where everything else was. I mean, Russell was screaming, Dow was screaming, but this type of trade right here is what I really, really like when it comes to Nadex, because you can put these on no less than 45 minutes. I don't like to do any expirations any less than 45 minutes, but you can use the 2 hours, you can use the dailies, you can do the spreads if they line up. So there's a lot of versatility there with the divergences, and that's my favorite trade when it comes to Nadex. Yeah, it's the MLT divergence indicator. It's a proprietary indicator that I had built like almost 7 years ago now, 6.5 years ago, something like that now. But yeah, it's just the red and green arrows on the charts that you guys will see me use. All right. So back to the Dow here. Taking a look at this, we've got the same thing in the Dow again today. 25,682. Again, this was that downtrend resistance level that needed to break on the move higher for us to continue this swing basis up into kind of 26,100 here in the Dow. Now, again, picture perfect scenario here on the day. I would love to see all 4 markets above this level, or above each of their respective levels. So 2670 on the Russell, 7404 quarters in the NASDAQ, and 282175s in the S&Ps. If we can get all of those in sync, then that's, picture perfect scenario there. If we do in fact crack under this 25,682 level, then I'm going to be looking for 25,623s to trade to the downside there on the Dow. Now, I think the Dow personally on the day is, I mean, percentage basis, it is the strongest here, but it's holding well above that level. Didn't get it quite as much of a pullback here as the other markets just a bit ago. We're currently 25,736, or about 50 points over that level here at the moment. And I think the Dow is going to be a nice runner here. We got plenty of room in this gap to go, and I'm looking forward to trying to establish a Dow position, probably over any other market on the day, which is really unusual for me. I don't give a lot of favorability to the Dow. I give a lot of favorability to the S&Ps or the NASDAQ more so than anything. But today I'm liking the way this Dow is setting up. I'm liking the price action I'm seeing in there, and going to be keeping that on a good watch. Why is it acceptable to put ketchup on scrambled eggs but not on a boiled egg? That one I cannot answer for you. I do not eat boiled eggs and I do not eat ketchup, so I do not know the answer to that one. Anyways, moving on though, taking a look at gold here. So again, we were watching gold yesterday. We had kind of 1326.30s up here that we could trade to. If we cracked under 1316.10s, that was going to be an important level that we could potentially start selling back off from, kind of in this hourly uptrend, continue with the daily downtrend, or start the daily downtrend there that I think is going to ensue. And we got a nice gap down here so far this morning. We traded as low as 1312.10s, kind of right down where my cursor is at, and now up about 5 points off of that. So nothing really to do in gold. I'm going to keep it on watch just to see what it's going to be doing today. We've got some room here. We could rally kind of up into this 1320.80 level here in gold today. But again, I'm still looking for this to potentially roll over at some point and go about 60-70 points lower in the gold markets. No trades on in there right now, but going to be taking or keeping an eye on it. Caitlin's talking about oil ripping. Yeah, oil's ripping nicely here. 58.31s were those levels from yesterday. We've now gone about 2 points higher off of those levels here in just basically 24 hours. So $2,000 per contract here in crude oil. I think we're going to run into some resistance up here, right at 60.22 so far. Highs are 60.26s. Let's take a look here. We got to go back a ways. Oh, this will be interesting. 60.22s. Crude oil's got some room here, kind of up into 61.48, so it's still got about $1.20 to go here. We've got some small levels here, 60.97s, but overall, I think crude oil will kind of be in free territory up from kind of the 60.22 up into 61.48s there. So keep an eye on crude. If we can get confirmation closes above 60.22s and find some type of entry, then I think it's a valid setup here. I do think it's going to get a nice reaction off of 60.22s here. It's came down about 10 cents or so right now. But overall, I do think it does get some type of reaction there. Seems like you're a zone-to-zone trader. I like it. Yeah, so I just call it level to level. You could call it zones, but yeah, I just call it level to level. I like it too, personally. Glad we're on the same page with that one. I mean, the market, so when you think about it, right, and we got about 4 minutes to go here until I cut the stream. I've covered everything that I'm looking at so far this morning and that I'm watching here. I'm just going to be waiting for the bell. So if you guys have any symbols or stocks, anything like that you want me to take a look at, feel free to go ahead and punch those in, and I'll take a look at those here real quick. But the one thing I was going to say to that point there is, it really doesn't matter what type of indicators you use or what type of system you're really using when it comes down to trading, right? Everything comes from the chart. So if you're putting Bollinger Bands on your chart, if you're putting moving averages, if you're putting, whatever, you're still pulling everything from the chart. So for me, I was like, okay, well, there's got to be a way to simplify this, break it down to where it's just the price. Because RSI, stochastics, MACD, whatever, pull up any list of indicators you have, they're all going to pull from the chart. The same exact information that you can see on the chart is the same information that they see behind the scenes, I guess, if you want to call it like that, and use that to make their drawings or their squiggly lines or whatever it is. Yeah, absolutely. So take a look at Apple here. Ozzy is asking about Apple. So, and that's not to say, I just say that's not to say that any of that stuff is wrong. I mean, if you have a strategy that's working using RSI or using whatever you're using, if it's working, you're making money, then keep doing it. Don't listen to me at that point. But if you're struggling and you got too many different indicators on your charts, you got whatever going on, then maybe reconsider that and kind of go back down to price. Because if you can trade one chart, you can trade any chart. Doesn't matter what the product is, symbol, etc. The strategies for different types of options, that gets a little bit more complicated. You can really go deeper on that. But just knowing kind of where you think price is going to be going is, I think personally, easier with just the chart. All right, so taking a look at Apple here. So Apple getting a nice $2.50, $2.60 gap up here, currently trading 191.35s. I talked about this yesterday. I liked the way that Apple was kind of shaping up here, especially on the daily chart. This nice, kind of breakout reversal bar, pull back to the breakout. So I do like Apple here. I think it continues that move up into kind of $200 price point. You got in the 187.50 calls expiring this week for Apple. 187.50 is expiring this week. And bump this out here. Yeah, so they're currently 310 by 315. Those will have a nice pop on the open here in Apple. So for my personal game plan, if I was to be trading Apple, would be to buy pullbacks to 190.56s here on the day. But I like it. I mean, you got a little bit of resistance coming in at 192.95, but overall, I like it. I think it gets that move kind of up in towards 200 here, um, over the next few days. So, and again, I'm looking for a Nasdaq swing, so Apple may be a candidate. We can sell some put spreads or buy some call spreads or do a combination there on that. And I'll take a look at that after the open, see if we can't get a pullback in there or find some favorable pricing with this gap up and maybe put on an options trade in Apple, kind of like that. So, all right, thoughts on ALDX here. This is a pharma looking deal. $11.85 by 95 on the gap up, so currently gapping somewhere up in here. That's going to be a pretty large gap. Honestly, I would expect it to fade a little bit in the morning, and then once it kind of takes back out the open print and starts going higher, then I would look at longs in there. Keep an eye on the volume in this thing, though. Volume in this thing is just super, super light. 352,000 shares, almost like contracts traded yesterday, 424,000 the day before. Today's got 2.6 million, but again, it's got a 4-cent wide spread, had 10-cent wide, 9-cent wide spread right now. So not something I would personally trade. Most likely Rob Shapiro in the Major League Stocks room probably has this on his watch list, and I would venture to say is most likely saying that exact same thing. It does have obviously 10 times the amount of volume today that it normally has already traded before 9:30 in the morning. Most likely some FDA approval or something like that. But again, it's really, really spready and most likely going to be pretty volatile today. So I would look for first initial move on this to be down and then wait for a confirmation of a new uptrend in there before looking to step in for longs. So otherwise, I would put it on a watch for a few days. Maybe it pulls back over 1, 2, 3 days, and then you can establish a swing position in there. So that would be my personal take on ALDX, but I am not going to be trading it, so do so at your own risk. Make sure you're comfortable with that risk and everything that is involved when it comes to that particular symbol. So anyways, that's what I got for you guys this morning. 9:27, I'm going to go ahead and shut the morning trade plan down. You guys all know what I'm looking for, what I'm going to be doing. And for those of you that are in the MLT Discord, I am going to be back with you guys live here in just a few minutes for the morning power hour. I'll be trading with you guys for about an hour this morning. I've got some things I got to do at 11 o'clock Eastern, so not going to be able to go as long as I did just quite yesterday, but looking forward to that. Nasdaq just traded those 74.04 quarters, pushed through by about a point and a tick, so looking forward today. If you guys are not in the MLT Discord, that's going to be the first link in the description below. If you guys enjoyed this content, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. If you are new around here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go live every morning, 9 o'clock Eastern, talk about the markets and what's moving and shaking. And if you guys have any ideas for future content you want me to make for the channel, feel free to leave those in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the Discord.